Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. We're only going to get one, so we're going to make it an amazing one. We have got a great show for you today. My name is Dave, and this here is Steve Edwards, and every week, now on Tuesdays, we get together to talk about mules and donkeys. You know, there's a lot of money, time, energy, effort invested in these animals, and the last thing you want is to go out there and feel like you're just failing, like it's just not working and it's not gonna work and it's all been a waste. You don't want that. What you want is you want confidence when you step outside and you go into the stall. You open it up. You walk up to old Fluffy. Fluffy lets you put the come along hitch on. Fluffy listens. Fluffy walks right back out. Fluffy follows you, doesn't get in your space, and then Fluffy does everything you want him to do. That's what you want. And so that's why we're here. We're here to talk about mules and donkeys and make sure you get old Fluffy to do everything that you want old Fluffy to do. Steve, did I lose you? Are you still there? There he is. Can you hear me, Steve? Did it freeze up? Let's see here. Making sure. Microphone. Everything's good. So while Steve is checking whatever he's checking, we're so glad that you're here. The way this works, just like on Wednesdays, the way that this works is you drive the program. You guide the program. And any and every mule or donkey question, we want you to ask it. Before you do that, we want to know that you're here. So in the comment section, put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. That's the first thing. We want to know that you're here. We want to say hello. We want to hear what's going on with you, your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like. That's the first thing. The second thing is you ask any and every mule or donkey question that you've got, because if you've got the question, chances are somebody else has the question as well. We want you to get answers because we want you to go out there and experience the love of owning old Fluffy. And the third thing that we ask is that you share the broadcast. And that's really easy to do. On YouTube or on Facebook, there is a share button. You just click that share button. And when you click that share button, you send it out to friends or to family or to other folks who you know will appreciate what it is we're talking about here. So those are the three things that we ask. We got Steve getting ready to hook up his internet there. Let me see here. Are you all able to hear me okay? I just want to make sure that it's coming in the way that it should be. It looks like it's coming in okay. Let's see here. Steve, I'm sending him a text message. Steve, I can see and hear you. He's connecting it up. We can see and hear you. Maybe rejoin. All right, he's going to come back in. He's going to rejoin. So, with that in mind, go ahead, start putting your mule and donkey questions in the chat section, and we're going to get straight to it. I want to say a hello to Dwayne. Dwayne is watching from Thatcher, where it is nice and cool, 68 degrees. And I know that we're going to have some folks who will normally join us on Wednesdays, who are got to make the adjustment to come in and watching on Tuesdays. But I sent out an email a little bit earlier today and said, hey, wanted to let you all know, Steve and I, we were looking at our schedules, and it just worked out that Tuesdays was going to allow for us to be live more than Wednesdays was going to be. So we made that adjustment, and so we're grateful that you're here today. And then all of our friends who are watching on the replay, because they're watching on Wednesday instead of Tuesday, come join us on Tuesday. We would love to have you come hang out with us, spend some time, and chat. The first thing that we want to talk about today is training without a saddle, because here's the deal. We're about ready to go into the winter. And if you live in Arizona, you are in great riding season. But if you're in these other parts of the United States where it's about to get cold, wet, and snowy, you're not going to be riding as much as you used to be. So we want to talk about, Steve, my first question of the day is, what does it look like this winter for me to be training without a saddle. I don't want Fluffy to get rusty. I don't want Fluffy to forget all of the things and the progress that we made. What does it look like for me to train this winter without a saddle?
Well, number one thing is it's going to help your timing. Yes, it's going to help old Fluffy, but it's going to help your timing. And the timing is this. The communication is this. These. How you use your hands. How you use your hands. The biggest problem with all of us is timing. Doing it at the right time so that Fluffy has the idea this is what's going to happen. And you don't have to be in the saddle. You don't even have to be to start with. You don't even have to even move. No, you are Fluffy. Don't have to move. You can stand in one place. Fluffy's right there in front of you. You've got the come along rope around the nose up behind the pole. Oh, did I say come along rope? Yes. Yes. Not your halter. Your halter is a small, teeny part of your communication. Teeny part. Okay. That come along hitch will give you crisp, clean communication. And then here's what's going to happen. You're going to be standing right here. And you're going to be looking at Fluffy. And you're going to be standing with about 4 to 5 foot of come along rope in your hands. And Fluffy's going to be looking at you. And if Fluffy looks to the right, you're going to give him a little ask, bump. If he doesn't comply and come back straight, you're going to give him a tail, bump, bump. And if Fluffy still doesn't pay attention, you're going to demand, bump, 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 bump. Listen, folks, you're not going to hurt them, all right? And they're still going to love you. I have watched one time a gelding horse that was just in love with this mare. And she pinned her ears and said, don't come no closer. He kept on coming. He pinned her ears and she pinned her ears and she swished her tail this time. She asked him, now she told him, and he kept on coming. I love you, I want to see you. And then demanded upon him. Boom, boom, boom. You know what happened? That mare spun and kicked the thunder out of this horse, this mule. I mean, kicked him. Matter of fact, turned around and grabbed him up by her mouth, shook him, and threw him to the ground, and pounded on him some more. Oh, he'll never love that mare again. Nope. He followed that mare around, ducking his head and licking his lips. That's what they understand, folks. Ask, tell, demand. Do you have to be in a demanding stage? Not that much. Very, very little. Now, some of you still remember when we used to do something called swats, or you're gonna have a spanking, or go get dad's belt. You knew what that was for because you didn't do what you was told to do, and then now you pay the price. That's right. And did you do it again? You better not have got caught doing it, or you've been whacked. Let's go back to this. So here's the mule. He's looking at me. He looks a little bit off to the right, a slight bump. He looks a little bit off to the left, a slight bump. What am I looking for? Straightness. How many of you go down the road and don't put your hands on the steering wheel and just sit back and say, okay, car, get me there? Well, I guess it won't be long before we're going to be doing that, sounds of things. But anyway, let's go. Don't do that with your mule. And you don't do that with your horse. You don't. You don't do it with your donkey, and you darn sure better not do it with your Dodge truck hooked onto mama's trailer. No. You keep straight on the road. Do the same thing with your mule. Your donkey. Listen to me, donkey folks. your donkey, your mule, they have to depend upon you to tell them what to do. Yes. When they're going down the trail, they're not allowed to look off the left. Oh, look what's over there. Look off there. Well, it's over there. Because here's the problem. When they're not looking to see if you're going to be safe. They're looking to see if something's going to be around there to eat them. They're looking for you and I, predators. They're looking for, coyotes. Yeah, okay. Mountain lions, bobcats. Not all the time. People walking on the ground could be a predator. All right. So here's what you're going to do. You're going down the trail straight. So what are you going to do this winter? You're going to go out, spend a few minutes with Fluffy. Don't go out there, okay, Fluffy, I'm going to pet you. Here's a treat. Dad. No. Put the come along hitch on. Take a few minutes and get your timing into place with the mule. Because if the mule's nose goes to the right and you're just now fixing it, it's too late. Because then there goes the nose, there goes the neck, there goes the shoulders, there goes the rest of the body. How many of you have told me this past year that you were going south and all of a sudden you were going north? You had no idea it was going to happen. Well, you would have had an idea if you were paying attention. Yes, it is your fault. It is my fault for allowing it to happen. So get your timing into place. There's a mule looking at you. You're standing in a stall and you're going to take a few minutes and tell Fluffy that we're going to be straight. That's what you're going to do. Few minutes. You can, in a 10-foot circle, do a lot of training. A lot of training. Those of you that have my ground communication kit, you've seen me train on that little mule there on that video. Yes, there's a ground communication video goes with it. I don't just send you a bit. I just don't send you a halter. I give you instruction how to do it, Yeah. Okay. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to put the come along hitch. You're going to teach the mule to back up a few steps, go to the right a few steps, go to the left a few steps. But most of all, you're going to teach straightness. And you're going to teach yourself not to pull on the mule, not to pull on him. Okay. So there, Dave, that's just one little thing.
Yeah, no. Well, that's a little thing, but that's actually a really big thing. One of the things I remember taking away from a clinic that we had, I don't think it was this last year. I think it might have been 2 or 3 years ago. But you were advocating allowing the halter, allowing the come along rope to do the work for you. You're not making it work. You allow it to work, and a lot of that has everything to do with your timing, has everything to do with the way you're communicating with your body, has everything to do with the pressure, and so you allow it to work for you. So it might be a little thing that makes a big difference, a minor adjustment that makes a major impact. So that's great. I appreciate that, especially knowing that, we're getting into the colder season of the year here, and it's going to present some challenges as far as continuing with your regimen, continuing with your training. You don't want to overtrain, but continuing with what you've been doing, not feeling like, oh, I have to get in the saddle in order to maintain control. Look, if there's one thing that I've learned, control on the ground is fundamental before you ever try to control in the saddle. And if you can get ground foundation and ground communication down, now that doesn't guarantee that things are going to be hunky-dory in the saddle, but it does increase the chances of getting the results that you want when you get in the saddle, because the animal is now understanding what you mean and is now ready to respond and listen to the bit. There's a whole training program that you want to go through. Matter of fact, I'll send a link in the comment section about creating a bidding program, because you move from the come along rope and then you begin to get into surcingle training and getting the animal to frame himself up, and then you get into the mule rider's martingale and the trail riding bit. So there's a path to go forward and do it well. But no, that makes a huge difference. So that's great. I want to say welcome to Dave O'Brien, watching from East Texas. It's nice in upper 60s after last night's 3-inch rain. Boy, did we have some rain out here in Arizona last week. We love it. Send more of that rain our way, Dave. Mr. Come Along Coffee himself, David Pingali, beautiful day here in Manchester, Georgia. Now, what do I mean by come along coffee? Come Along Coffee. Folks, there is a coffee that exists for the mule and donkey owner. You thought that you were going to the grocery store and seeing everything that there was to choose from. You thought wrong. The mule and donkey owner needs Come Along Coffee. It is the coffee brewed and bred for the mule and donkey owner, the mule and donkey rider. So you all get yourself some Come Along Coffee, and then thank David Pengelly once you do. Look at that, Steve. I've never seen him happier than when a cup of Come Along Coffee in his hand. Sherman Johnson, Johnson's Taxidermy, Norman, Oklahoma, 63 degrees. Jack is watching from Johannesburg, is 65 and drizzle. I would love some drizzle here. That'd be nice. I'm sitting outside today, Steve. I'm enjoying the outside at my sister's house. So that's real good.
Wow, look at
I'm
you.
enjoying that. But it would be
Yeah.
nice if there was some drizzle. Candy is watching from Indiana. She's got some rain also. Interested in Steve's. Okay, here we go. Steve, Candy is interested in your thoughts regarding mechanical hackamores. Planning on conditioning for LD endurance. Steve, saddle fits Digby perfectly, but I loathe that horn. I wish Steve would create a trail or endurance saddle. So let's hear what you have to say, Steve. One, what is a mechanical hackamore? Two, what is LD endurance? And three, what does she mean by an endurance saddle?
Okay. I've been riding an endurance saddle all my life. It's called a modified association with a horn. It endures. I can go up and down any mountains. I can drag a calf to the fire, but it's got a horn. The people that are calling these are endurance saddles, which she is, it doesn't have a horn. I'm going to say this. I do make those saddles. They have to be custom made, and we have to have a tree made for them. And you can have a hornless saddle. Okay. I mean, what the sense of wearing having a horn anyway? You don't blow it. Did you get that, Dave? Okay. Anyway, so no.
All
Here's
day,
the deal.
folks. All day. Steve Edwards. There you go.
Here's the deal. And this is, I'm not going to just completely pick on ladies, but this is what I've been told. I've never seen it happen, and I'm not going to do that no more. But they've actually was kind of leaned forward, got their shirt and then their bra hung up, and then they had some difficulties with trying to put things together. And it happens, I guess, okay? But here's the thing. I've done it all my life with a horn. And if you want to buy a saddle, have a saddle built without a horn, I'll do it for you. Is it my favorite thing? No. Is it hard to resell it? Yes. Very does. But can I make it for you? Absolutely. You mule riders, I want to help you out. You donkey folks, what can I do to help? Now let's go back. Mechanical hackamore. Wonderful tool, okay? But super misunderstood, made incorrectly, like most stuff today, because it's not made in the United States and it's not designed by working cowboys. And the mechanical hackamore is a great tool, but you got to remember mules and donkeys are very, very, very sensitive about their nose. And if you use that mechanical hackamore incorrectly, which 99.9% of you will, y'all, okay? You know me, I get right to the point. This is the way it is, okay? You have to be super light on your hands to ride on a hackamore, mechanical hackamore. I mean super light, okay? If you cannot handle a lead rope correctly, come along rope correctly, you shouldn't even be touching a mechanical hackamore. Now, it's a wonderful tool. What it is that it has two levers coming down the bottom, the shanks. You've got sometimes a flat strap that goes across the nose, sometimes a rawhide strap that goes across the nose, sometimes a chain with a rubber over top of it across the nose, sometimes a braided nose band that's about 1 inch in circumference across the nose. And then you have a chin strap underneath the bridle, underneath the hackamore, and then that communicates to the nerves underneath the chin, and this part communicates to the nose. Now, a mechanical hackamore, a Bozalis, which is all rawhide and braided in a teardrop form. Okay, they're wonderful tools in the right hands, used at the right time. Now, it's hard enough to stop a mule with a bit when they're in a runaway. It is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to stop one in a runaway with a mechanical hackamore. Yeah. Look, I'll give you all kinds of stories, but I'll give you one story. A Montana packer who could lead 5-pack mules behind him, had a wonderful horse. I mean, this horse is about as awesomely trained as you could possibly have. He would often ride his horse in a rope halter, not adjusted correctly, but he would ride one simply because he wanted to show people that his horse was well trained. He got in a bad wreck. He had to be helicoptered out. And even up to this day, he's having a hard time getting back in the saddle. Don't know how things are with him now. But folks, you need to be able to stop. You need to be able to turn, and in trouble, you and I are on the side of a mountain. It is not like being on an arena loping circles. Now, if I'm going to go out on a mechanical hackamore, I'm going to be able to have a mule that is 80% riding off of my legs. 80%. When I use a leg, he goes to the right. When I use a leg, goes to the left. When I go and ask for a backup, I sit down in the seat a little bit, and I close my legs together and back up. Yes, right, 80% off my legs, 20% off my hands. Okay. Now the next part, the mechanical hackamore, it needs to be adjusted according to the mule's ability to listen to you. Lower it like you do a bozal, 2 fingers above the nostril, like I always talk about, 2 fingers above the nostril, so that you can communicate with good, precise, clean communication. Boom, right now. All right? Listen to that. Now, you raise it up again to how well your mule is trained. And the higher up, the better the communication. In other words, the mule really listens to you. Always about 2 fingers from the cheekbone. This is with your come-along ropes and your rope halters, and no lower than 2 fingers above the nostril. That's where a mechanical hackamore needs to be. Okay? On a bozal. The problem again, there it is. When it comes to stopping them, did I ride my mules? Some of them, yes. Out of all the mules that I've trained over the past 50 years, I may have ridden 5 that was good enough to ride in a hackamore bozal or a hackamore mechanical. Yeah. Would I do it once in a while with my wife's super well-trained mule? Yes. 28 years old when she finally passed away of cancer, but she was an awesome mule. World champion, Arizona undefeated state champion. Yeah, great mule. But I rode very little in that mechanical hackamore simply because if I'd run into a problem and I had something scare her, even as well-trained as she would still be flight and fright. Folks, it comes down to your hands, your ability. You're going to train first in the corrals and the round pens and stuff, and then you're going to go out there. I rode in a mechanical hackamore simply because I just wanted to keep them fresh. Okay, that's how I did it, and it wasn't that often. Maybe every 2-3 months, I'd maybe do a trail ride or something like that. But mechanical hackamore is a wonderful tool. And I just gave you a teeny piece of what they are like. Do I have them on my website? Yes, I've got one I designed. Is it American made? Like 99% of my stuff is. Okay. Now I'm just like the rest of you. Once in a while, I got to buy something that says made in China. Do I like it? No. But since they're not made no more here in the United States, since I can't find someone to make them, then I may have it done. Okay. My Twitch is one of the things in particular. But anyway, there we are, Dave.
That was great. I love that. Very helpful. Honestly, that was helpful for me. Mechanical Hackamore is, after all of these years, um, listening to you, following you, working with you, it's still something that not perfectly clear on. And I've heard you talk only second to Susan. The only person who's heard you talk more is Susan. And if I'm still a little bit fuzzy, I know that there are other folks out there who are fuzzy on it. And so I'm really, really grateful that she took the time to ask that question and you
Yes.
took the time to answer it. So that's a great question. Next one comes in from Virginia. Virginia says, Steve, you've taught me how important it is to position each piece of tack together correctly to maintain an overall balance. Now, time out. Yes, the majority of the problems, folks will buy a Steve Edwards saddle because it's not a mule saddle, it is a Steve Edwards saddle. And they'll buy the tack that they need because it all works together. You can have a Steve Edwards saddle, but then if you have a pulling collar and you're wondering why the saddle isn't staying put and it keeps riding up on the scapula, oh, could it be that you have a breast collar that is a pulling collar and every step forward the shoulder is pulling that saddle forward? Yes. So we'll have folks that do right by their animal as soon as they can, and they'll send Steve a message and they'll say, Steve, your saddle doesn't work. Steve, your saddle is broken. Steve, my mule doesn't like your saddle. Almost every instance, and I can't think of a particular one where it isn't, but I'll never say always. Almost every time, always, as a matter of fact, it's a simple adjustment in the way the tack is pieced together. That's why we want you to send us a picture. That's why we want you to ask us questions before you purchase, because we want you to be confident in what you're doing and feel like you get the result that you were promised. That's what we want. Okay, now back to what Virginia was saying. So, now that I'm at the point of tweaking the tack positions on Edie, my Molly mule, I have a couple questions. Number one, how tight should the breast collar strap connecting to the front cinch be? Number two, how tight should the martingale strap connecting to the front cinch be? So there you go. What are your answers there for Virginia?
Okay, remember our saddles can move an inch and a half. Inch and a half. This is the average mule to give you a starting place to adjust. An inch and a half. Forward, back, left, and right. Okay? So, when you get a hold of that breast collar, Virginia, and you pull it out, do you have an inch and a half or 3 inches? If so, you may want to adjust it up on top at the pommel, or you may want to adjust it on the bottom. Now, here's the deal. The bottom strap from my breast collar connects to the front cinch. The front cinch is connected with the hobble strap to the back cinch. To the back cinch. All right? Now, when you're adjusting, adjust from the back cinch, which should be straight up and down, right at the sweet spot of the mule's belly, approximately 4 to 6 inches to the front cinch, which is at an angle. Why is he at an angle? Because he has his daddy's bone structure. He has his daddy's belly. He's hourglass belly toward the shoulders. Okay? I don't care if it's flat ground. I don't care if it's a mountainous ground or hilly ground. You have to ride with a breeching in order to balance the saddle. The saddle breeching is only balance. The straps on the side keep it from going left, right. The 2 straps across the top keep it from going forward, okay? Only when the cinches start loosening up, that's when the britching balances. But your main part of your saddle, the very main part, is your rear cinch. It has to be the tightest. It has to be centered in that spot just before the mule's belly goes up and just before it starts flattening out and going up again. You see there's kind of a sweet spot there that it'll stay in place. Does it do any harm? No. It's perfect. Does it make them buck? No. All saddles that are Western saddles ride with 2 D-rings. Where do we usually see the most white marks on a horse or a mule or a donkey? Riding behind the scapula. Why is that? Because what happens with horsemen, notice them. Notice horsemen. They ride either with no rear cinch or they ride with a cinch hanging down this far. Okay? Now what's happening then? They have their front cinch tight and the saddle is cantilevering on that area in behind the scapula and rubbing. It's not because the saddle doesn't fit. Remember, there's only 2 saddle trees, semi-quarter horse and full quarter horse. Okay? There's only 2 out there. And then there's Steve Edwards. That's another story. So now here's the deal. When that rear cinch is tight like it should be, and that's the thing about my cinches, I have a guard where my D-ring is. Here's my D-ring. And as I tighten up my D-ring on my saddle, if I go past that protective strap, or if the protective strap goes to the left or to the right, I am over tightening my cinches. People are always asking me, how tight? How tight is going to depend on you, the rider. Yep, I went and blamed you again. Yes, folks, you got to understand, we are the problem, okay? Lack of knowledge. That's why Dave and I are here. We're here to give you the F-bomb. Free knowledge. 50 years is given to you for free, okay? Now let's go on. Now, with that rear cinch being tight, 4 to 6 inches on the hobble strap to the front cinch. If you over tighten the front cinch, guess what you're going to tell me? You got white hairs and it's too dry. Yes, you did it. You over tighten the front cinch, or you used a horse saddle, which automatically is going to create stress in that area. That area works. Go out and watch your mule, your donkey work. Right behind that scapula, you will see that area moving. And when you put your saddle on it and push down on top of that, you are restricting the movement of your donkey, of your mule. Hear me, okay? Listen. Try it. You'll like it, like Mikey said. Anyway, let's go on. So if I over tighten that cinch, I'm breaking down everything that I tried to help out that mule with. Now my breast collar comes down and attaches to the front ring on my cinch. Now, that breast collar helps keep my front cinch into place because it's attached to my rear cinch. So that rear cinch and that hobble strap keeps this cinch that's at an angle on the front from pulling my saddle ahead. That's what it does, especially when you over tighten it. It is not the saddle's fault. It is no more than you've over adjusted the front cinch. You've over tightened it. That's what you've done. Okay, now let's go on. Then that strap on my breast collar goes up. If you can pull it an inch and a half, or more than an inch and a half away from the breast, tighten it up at the top at the pommel. And you can tighten it up there. Now, it is not that important to have that thing fully, completely adjusted, except for when you're going up a mountain. That's when the breast collar will kick in, except for when you're dragging wood to the fire or a calf to the fire. Yep, that's right. So when you're going forward, that's when that breast collar kicks in. The problem with a pulling collar is that it's always pulling your saddle forward because it's tied in hard and fast to the saddle. Two straps coming down, and it's pulling that saddle forward. So as per usual, Dave, there's not really a short answer to most of this stuff. There's a lot to think about.
There is a lot to think about. And y'all, when y'all ask Steve a question, you might get some folks who give you a really quick answer. As per usual, Steve, he will give you the comprehensive answer so that you can get out there and get results. But if you got more questions, Steve's always available. Folks are shocked that Steve. I don't know if they're shocked that you know how to use a cell phone or that you know that you're calling them. It might be a little bit of both. They are shocked when Steve Edwards gets on the phone with them and say, "Is this the Steve Edwards?" Yes, it's the Steve Edwards. There's only there's only a few things that really drive Steve's passion, and one of the things that he's passionate about is folks knowing how to work with these animals. Steve cares about you. He won't say it. He'll just show it. So I'll say it. Steve cares about you. Steve cares about you getting results, and he hops on the phone with everybody who makes any type of purchase, and he gets on the phone with anybody who winds up calling him. Anyone gives them the answers that they need, and then he'll suggest stuff. He will, but he'll say, "Hey, here's the best that you can do." One other follow up that she had. Virginia says, should I put bedding in Edie's dirt floor shed now that it's windy and temperatures are in New Mexico are freezing at night? And just so you know, Steve, after 6 months with the come along hitch, Edie has finally put the pieces together. It now takes only the slightest movement, my timing on my part, to get her to respond to my commands. Hallelujah. Many, many thanks. So that's fun to hear. What about the dirt floor and the bedding? Should she do that since it's getting cold?
It's not a bad idea. It's more the moisture. Let me tell you, of course, here in Arizona, we don't have it quite like New Mexico is, and it depends on what part of New Mexico. I have I have only used bedding when I've gone to shows, okay, and because it's a it's a good thing to do for them to keep from getting real dirty. But otherwise, my favorite thing is I all of my corrals are have a granite base, and otherwise I just throw a blanket over them, a mule blanket, and then take it off the next morning. But I'm going to tell you, I've been up in Montana at 20 below, and then mules walk outside and stand in that, and and never bat an eye. I've seen them here at 110 and walk out there and stand in the sun, direct sun. They've got they got a pain threshold. It's way different than yours and mine, folks. And it's nice to pamper them. Guess what it does though? It makes you feel better. Not always makes the mule feel better. I can tell you that for sure. Like I said, I've been out there hunting in Montana with it being 20 below and thinking, no, my goodness. And I also watch other animals as I've been around through Montana and see them out there standing in the snow, and they do their snow baths. There you are.
Dragonfly's watching on YouTube. Hello, Dragonfly. John is watching from Utah, where it's cold and snowy. Dragonfly says it's good to be here. Marika in Edgewood, New Mexico. So there you go, Marika. Sunny and cold. I was wondering if Steve could explain 369 progress in training. Steve talks about this. Steve says, now what you want to do, folks, is you only want to train a little bit each day, and you don't need to train every day. If you're working on something, once the mule does it 3 times, that's it. Call it for a day. Then the next time you go out and train, might be the next day, might be a couple days. You go out, you want the mule to do it 6 times. Once it does 6 times, that's it. You move on. What is this 3, 6, 9, 12, Steve?
All right, let me just give you an example. My favorite thing, ground communication. I put my come along on, and I take my mule, and I put the rope underneath the neck, across the back, around behind the quarter. I pick up on my lead rope, and I just bump them, bump, bump, bump. No pulling. Bump, bump, bump. And the mule follows the weight of the lead rope around. Sometimes at the very beginning, very fast because it kind of scares them. Okay, that's okay. But then what happens then, pretty soon, they'll do it very easily and go around nice and simple, usually within about the fifth or sixth time, and they'll make a nice circle all the way around. Nice and easy. That's one. It took me 5 circles to get my first one the way I want it. How did I want it? I wanted it, yes, to go around in a circle, but yes, I want the head down, nose on the vertical. When you have the head down, that loosens all 5 major neck muscles. When the nose goes on the vertical, that loosens the throat latch. That loosens the pole. So you see, there's more to it than just go around in a circle. Once I have done 3 to the right, and may have taken me 5 or 6 to get there, once I've done 3 to the right, I quit. That's the biggest problem. People say, well, I do it for 15 minutes, I'm done. Well, how do you know he's got it? Okay? You got to know it when he's soft. Head down, nose on the vertical. Key thing. Eye nice and quiet. When you finish training, he should be just as calm when you end as when you begin. Now, once I've done 3 to the right, I now do 3 to the left. Again, I take the rope, go underneath the neck, across the back of the back, around behind the hind quarter, and I pick up on the rope and I just bump it. Bump, bump, bump. Just that bumping on the nose. Remember I told you in the very beginning of the program that they're very sensitive about their nose, and you only want to bump. If you get one sore in the nose, you will have one heck of an angry mule or donkey. Okay? Bump, bump, bump. So this time, to go around to the left, he goes around 4 times, and you got the 4th one was really nice. Just the way you would like to feel it for the first time. Then you do 3 more. I'm done today. I'm done. Okay? Train a week from now, 3 days from now. Don't train every day. All right, let's go back. Once I do that, then I go back and I train again a couple days later. Then I do those 3, and he does a real good job. Nice and smooth and easy. I'll do 3 more. Now it's 6. Perfect. And I do 6 to the right, 6 to the left. Then the next time I train, 5-10 days later, if you're building a good foundation, you don't have to keep going for 10 minutes, for instance. Okay, now you've done 3, 6, now you do 9. 9 to the right, 9 to the left. You barely pick up on the lead rope, and the mule just responds beautifully. Finally, you do 12. Yes, 12. Okay, and smooth and easy. He listens to every time you pick up on the lead rope, smooth and easy up to 12. Now, once you've done 12, guess what you now have? A foundation. Not a trained mule, but you have a foundation, because here's this. When people start riding the mules, they start training the mules according to what they know. They don't always know what the mule knows, and it's not always that important. But you'll know a mule with a good foundation because they're consistent every single day. Not a butt mule. Hey, Dave, we know what a butt mule is, don't we?
No butt mule.
Yeah. He's a good mule, but he does this or that. No, that
No
mule,
butt mule.
that mule does not have a foundation, folks. There shouldn't be a butt mule if he's got a good foundation. If you do it right and simple, you don't need a trainer. Most of these guys are horsemen in a mule trainer's costume. You'll see it because they're doing the same thing as other horsemen are doing. They're doing lateral flexions. They've got the halter adjusted clear up, almost touching the cheekbone. They're using a heavy snap with a heavy rope. That's all horse techniques, because they're always pushing the horse rather than letting them think. See, the mule thinks. The donkey side of that brains of that mule thinks. He thinks things through. So don't get in a hurry. Enjoy it. You didn't buy the mule to get frustrated. You didn't buy the mule to turn it over to somebody who calls himself a trainer, charges you big bucks, and then you come back and the mule is still doing some of the same things you did to start with. No, you can do it yourself. I got what, 450 plus something like that YouTube stuff out there, Dave. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, and
performance come on.
endorsements from people who follow those videos to no end. Like folks who say there's this thing, and I get it, I understand it. I've never trained a mule, I've never trained a donkey, but I've tried to do other things, and it's like, well, if I could just get Steve to do this, there's lots of interests that I have, and there's lots of things that if I could just get this person to help me, then it would be better. If I could just get that, I'll tell you what, it might help for a little bit, but then when that person's gone, when Steve's gone, if you can't do it yourself, if you don't have the training yourself, it's gone. It's you that needs the training. It's not the mule. It's you. And it's communicating. And Steve can work with a mule all day long, but if your timing is off, anything that Steve does is not going to have the same impact because the mule is listening for a specific type of timing. So you can do it. And we have people from all over the world, every continent but Antarctica, saying, I used your methods. Wow. Thank you. You can do it. Just don't give up on it. And we're here to help you. Marcia's got a question. She says, how do you manage? I never thought I'd read this question. How do you manage the manure in Arizona? I give mine away here for free in Virginia for gardens. One farmer called about getting a whole field full. Need more mules for that one. Cloudy but warm today. I never thought I'd read a question about how are we handling the manure, but you know what? This is the livestock industry. Steve, how do you handle the manure?
Oh, yes. Well, what we do is we've got a garden. We've got a couple different ones actually, and we got a pile. And we take the wheelbarrow and we collect up the manure and we put it on the pile. And then I take my tractor and I roll it over a few times and kind of turn it over, and then it starts composting itself. And we use that on our garden when we're planting trees, whatever the neighbors need them. That's what we do with it, and it works.
So we've got Lisa watching. Some kind words here. Hello, guys. Lisa from beautiful South Dakota. I'm a new owner of not one, but two mules. Okay, so here we go. There we go. New owner. I have been using the come along. Let's see. I love your products. I have been using the come along rope and they are doing good, but I'm still learning. That's right, Lisa. You are learning and they are learning what you're learning. So good for you. Jeannie is watching from Iowa where it's 50 degrees. Great weather to put up a round pen and snow fence. It looks like we know what she's doing this week. Junior Pitts watching from East Texas. Andrea is watching from Boone, North Carolina where it's 60s. Beautiful sunny day today. Beautiful sunny day today out here in Arizona. We're loving it. This is why we live here. Marcia says, P.S. like the Hawaiian shirt. So we've got a Hawaiian shirt fan. Steve is starting his own shirt line. It's called Hawaiian Mules. No, I'm just kidding, but maybe we should. Zach is watching from Nebraska where it's 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Sunny, love you guys. Daryl is watching with Bobby Joe in Alabama, and there is a light rain. Those are our friends on YouTube. We've got some friends on Facebook. Laura is watching where there are thunderstorms moving in Tennessee right now. Gail is watching from Wisconsin, 50s with a little drizzle. I think we said hi to her already. Hey, our friend Mark Williams from Virginia went up that mountain on Saturday to bring the longhorn cattle down. Mark Miller came down to ride with me. He has downgraded to a horse, but I let him ride with me anyways. There we go. We are tolerant. We are tolerant and accepting. Any horse person can come in here. We'll just make fun of you behind your back. Roger from Milan, New York is watching. 72 degrees and lovely. Matt Cahoon from Callis, Idaho. Perfect. 50 degrees. Happy. Hey, I didn't know this. Happy National Mule Day tomorrow. Headed to the back country later this week. Did you know there was a National Mule Day, Steve?
I knew there was, but I didn't know it was up and coming.
Tomorrow. How about that? This is great.
How about that?
All new. Jesus has risen, and that's reason to celebrate as it is. But heck, we'll celebrate National Mule Day as well. Roger is watching. Demand coffee is awesome. Treat yourself. Amen. Dave O'Brien says, "What age should my mule be to start using your Twitch?" Thank you. Tell the folks what the Twitch is, Steve. Why you would want to use it, and what is an okay age to begin using it.
I start my babies out just by pinching their nose. Okay, the idea of a twitch is to create natural endorphins so you can naturally, hear this, doctor on your mule. Okay, will you need to have sedatives at times to put them night? Yes. Are they overdone? Yes, both by professionals and non-professionals. But the twitch, I open and close it, open and close it. It goes around the nose. And I open and close it, open and close it. It creates natural endorphins. The key thing always, folks, is when the head drops, eyes get big and brown. That's when the mule has it. And that's what the twitch does. Okay. So I start them all out. You know, and use that twitch. That twitch is a wonderful tool. It'll help you with ear shy animals. It'll help you with ones that are hard to shoot. But it creates natural endorphins. It feels good. It's not meant to hurt them. When you watch the video, folks, when you watch the video that I send you with the twitch, now don't forget now, hear this? I don't just send you a tool and say, there it is. No, I send you a tool with a video so you know how to use it properly. Okay? Yeah.
It's a barbaric looking tool if you know nothing. And let's be frank, so many of us start out knowing nothing. When you see it on there, I'm just gonna level with you. I was like, I don't know if Facebook's gonna allow us to post this, Steve. You might get some and indeed you get some folks who don't know. But if you were standing there with me on the day we filmed that video, what you would have seen is exactly what I saw. A weird looking tool with a guy who loves mules going up to the mule, grabbing the lips, the nose area, rubbing all over him, and you see this mule that 5 minutes earlier, Steve's going up. Yeah, it looks just like that. Steve's going up, trying to put on ointment, some medication. Mule doesn't want to have it. 5 minutes later, mule would let you do anything. Putty in your hands. Do not judge this book by its cover, or in this case, the DVD via its cover. Watch it. Be willing to admit that, hey, maybe I was wrong about this, and maybe this actually does work. Because when you try it, it does. And we were in a clinic surrounded by probably 25 people. Steve gets out the Twitch. Everyone's thinking, good Lord Jesus, what is he about to do to this animal? Silent. The animal relaxes, starts lowering his head, is calm, and you hear the owner saying, "What? I can't believe it. I can't believe it." Folks, it is just the gift of knowledge, and it is being willing to put what you think, what you've been told, and being willing to just step back and say, I'm going to take a posture of learning because I care about the animal. I care about the dignity of this animal, and I want to do right. Just take that posture. You're going to be okay. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, 45 above zero. Nice, though. No bugs. Hey, no bugs. I'm down with that. Eileen, one of our long-time watchers. It makes me think of Eileen today because we switched from Wednesdays to Tuesdays, and the reason we did that is it's just going to allow us to do more live broadcasts because Wednesdays get pretty filled up between here and the end of the year. Eileen has been with us from the beginning. Eileen, we do not take it for granted. We're so grateful that you've spent so many days with us. Thank you. We appreciate you. Sunny and 62 from Nebraska. Cowboy Ken. Hello, guys. Hello, Cowboy Ken. For for the longest time, it says Cowboy Ken. I didn't know what it said. So I I said, Cowboy Ken. Cowboy Ken. It's like that Mad Gab game. Peter is watching from North Carolina, vast North Carolina. Catherine is watching from New Orleans, Louisiana. Thanks for the good info. You are welcome. Leslie is watching from Lancaster, California. Scott is watching from South Carolina. Clouds are rolling in, 67 degrees. Catherine says, we'll have to run out tomorrow to see my mule and give him a celebration treat for National Mule Day. Okay, all right. If we're going to do treats, I guess National Mule Day is an okay day. Steve will lower our treat standards maybe for a day. Make sure he comes to you. Do something like that. Eileen says, how
Away
long?
from you.
What's that?
You always want the mule to go away from you.
Oh, go
When
away
you
from
give
you.
a treat, always give the treat toward their chest,
There you
and
go.
that way they have to back away from you to get it. Where people get mauled is they hand it to them like this. Pretty soon the mule is all over them.
In their
Just watch
space.
these people that you see online. They're giving them the treats, and they're getting mauled by the thing. If they don't completely show all that, but anyway.
So listen to what Steve says, not what I say. I want him to go away from you. Teachable moment. Eileen says, how long will the endorphins last once the humane twitch is removed? That's a great question.
Great question. Okay. Now, it's going to kind of depend on what you're doing. Of course, if I'm castrating, it may be a little bit different, a little quicker, or stitching up. So sometimes, I've seen it last 3 to 5 minutes. And now all you have to do, because you have the twitch hanging on the nose and the string going up attached into the halter, all you have to do is reach over, open and close, open and close, open and close, open and close. That's all you got to do is open and close, open and close, open and close, and it creates the natural endorphins again. If you have somebody with you and can do it, then let them do it. As soon as they see that the animal kind of is being a problem, have them open and close it, create the natural endorphins again. It was pretty cool, wasn't it, Dave? We could see that old mule in that and at that clinic. He was almost went to sleep. He got way down,
Yep.
way down. And people were amazed to see, wow, yes, folks, it works. I'm not going to tell you something unless I've done it myself, okay? Unless it works. And so this is a nutcracker here. Okay, I use it for my pecan nuts, yummy. But it gives you an idea,
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful tool. But Dave, like anything else, I give you a video that says use it like this, okay?
Yeah.
Now, and veterinarians are great people. They go through years of school. They've got a love for animals, and this sort of thing. But they don't learn everything, just like me. I've been doing it 50-some years in my school of hard knocks, and I'm still learning more things. But here's the deal. I can tell you some awful stories of where people have over medicated these animals, just like they do people, and they end up with problems. Okay, so this way here, this works. It's natural. The mule loves it. Dave, it's too bad we can't find that video and put it with my mule, with my Twitch sales.
I've got it somewhere, and we've already got the DVDs made for the Twitch, so it'd be hard to amend that. But I can get them online, folks. Just real quick shout out. So all of Steve's videos, you can get a DVD, but you can actually get digital access. And when you have more than one, you go. Matter of fact, there's several videos that are just free once you sign up for an account on muleranch.com and you log in the video library. There's several ones that are there. There's a mule saddle training course, that one's free, that's in there. I think there's a bit video, a bit webinar we did, that's free, that's in there. There's a feed talk video, that's free, that's in there. And then if you purchase any videos, actually free, is this the noise that I want? Here it is. I think from here on out, whenever we say free, we'll go, and it's free. Maybe something like that. Anyways, you sign up. Oh, Jess. Jess likes that sound there. There you go, just for you, Jess. This is Steve's border collie puppy.
Jess, Jess says, okay, Jess, that'll do. Jess says, where's that cow? I want to get it.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my goodness. Anyways, there's a lot of good stuff in there. But if you do purchase Humane Twitch, you get the digital video. You can watch that video. It goes in your library. You got all sorts of other good stuff. And I'll find that video and I'll add it to the digital one. We can do that all right. Let's see here. Zach watching. Daryl's watching. Karen, rural Western Kentucky here. Slightly damp this evening and very blessed for that. Slightly damp this evening and very blessed for that. Looking for my first mule this spring. Been a farm girl 58 years. Love you guys. Thanks for sharing. Karen, what part of Western Kentucky? Is it the Paducah area? That's where my family's from. Marshall says, well, my mules are getting some pears tomorrow for celebrating National Mule Day. Marcia says, will the Twitch work on a mule or donkey that kicks at the farrier even when sedated?
All right, let's go back to this. Now, this is different. Okay. Will it work to keep them quiet? Yes. Okay. Notice even sedated, they're kicking. Yes. Come along, Hitch. Look, they've got to know that kicking is incorrect. It's not a choice. You want to see me get mad at a mule? Have one bite me or kick at me. I will come uncorked on the thing. I will. I get really upset at a mule that doesn't respect me and tries to hurt me. If they trying to hurt me, they are going to pay the price. Yes, yes. So what would I do? Okay, I would put the come along hitch on there with a 500-pound guy on the end. No, just you don't have to be that, but get them trained so that when again fix it before it becomes a problem. If they kicked, it's too late. So when they point an ear toward the farrier or when they point a nose toward the farrier, bump them. They're to only pay attention to you. Remember I told you in the very beginning, train without the saddle. You don't have to have a saddle. Train them. Get your timing into place. Your timing. Really important.
Awesome. Very good. All right. Last question of the day here. This one's from Dorothy. I'm adding this time. It went by real quick, Steve. It's already 4 o'clock out here in Arizona. I'm adding a 4-year-old Molly to my small herd of a donkey and a quarter horse mare. I want to make sure I bring her into my herd without too many issues. What advice can you give me to make sure this happens? Looking forward to hearing from you soon. And giddy up.
Yep. All right. Number one thing, folks, when you bring Fluffy home, do not put him out there in a pasture. Do not put him out there with a bunch of other animals. Take him home, put him in a 20 by 20 stall, and that's where they stay for the next 6 months minimum. Minimum. They don't need you out there. They've got their grass, they've got their water, and if they got buddies out there, they've got their buddies. They don't need you. Okay, you tell them, Jeff. Okay, that'll do. Okay, so they don't need you, okay? But they need to know that you are the herd leader and you put them in a small corral. They have to depend upon you for their food and their water and their camaraderie. Hear that? That's what you do. I've got a guy right now that says, I can't catch him. He's out in a great big pasture. Don't do that, folks. Put him in a small pen, and that's where they stay. There's nothing wrong with that. My wife's mule, just as an example, and we got other mules too that I've had over the years. She's a 28 years old when she passed away. She spent 26 years, hear that? 26 years in a 20 by 20 stall, sometimes a 10 by 20 stall, depending on the situation. Okay? Sometimes I need a few more stalls, so all my stalls are interchangeable. Going on, okay? That's what you need to do. So you take that new mule coming home, boom. Now, not just for doing that, but to take care of your mules, your donkeys, your horses. If you put them all together and feed them, how do you know they're getting the right nutrition? How do you know they're healthy? Answer, you don't. You have them in an individual stall. Each time you go to take out them road apples, you can see how healthy your mule is by looking at them road apples. Each time you fill up that water bucket, you can tell how much water your mule, your donkeys are drinking. You got to take care of them. You just turn them out there in a smorgasbord, you're going to pay the price because they are not going to be healthy. Give it a try. You see, most of us Americans have been too much on the smorgasbord, and we're all paying the price, right? That's right. Yeah. So you don't need to do that. When you bring that mule home, put him in a 20 by 20 stall, and become his herd leader, which will eventually come to be your friend. Now, any other questions, Dave?
No, that's it for today. We had a lot of really great folks come hang out with us today, which was fantastic. I really grateful that you all spent a little bit of time. Steve, what do you got there?
Well, look, when I was at the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival, okay, I saw a really neat program. This is what that thing was all about, folks. Was this right here. Right here. This right here. This, what these people do to help veterans heal, is they take and listen to the veteran's story, and then they put it to a song. And they actually make songs about that veteran's time in the armed forces. I watched him do one for a guy that was 93 years old. He was a surgeon, and he talked about some unique things. But you see this? They do these songs and put them on DVDs, and other veterans can hear them. They send it out. That's why Marty Ray put together American Mule and Bluegrass Festival. So it helped these guys who put forth the effort and are help making us free, and they put their lives on the line. And that program, American Mule and Bluegrass Festival, helps veterans. So I just wanted to tell you, this is available. You can contact me and I can give you the information, steve at muleranch.com. You can contact Marty Ray and you can contact this veterans organization. It's called Freedom Sings USA. Freedom Sings. And it talks about the stories of these men. Great deal, Dave.
I'm trying to find Freedom Sings USA. Let me see if I can find something. Yeah, I can. I found it here. Yeah, right here. Freedom Sings
How come my
USA helps
camera is
veterans,
going?
military personnel, and their families throughout the country reach emotional balance by telling their stories through the creative process of songwriting. All right, so y'all, here is the link Steve was talking about. Freedom Sings. How cool. I just put that in the comment section. It's freedomsingsusa.org. For some reason, it doesn't come up there. freedomsingsusa.org. Very cool. Steve, anything else you want to say before we're all done here? Oh, there he
I
goes.
can see my camera isn't working.
Oh, well, I can see you okay. It looks good to me. The folks
I was
didn't.
trying to show people
Oh,
me roping the mules over here, roping cattle.
well, you know what? The lighting must be really good because I didn't notice that it was pulling from your computer laptop camera rather than that other one. So next week we'll make sure to fix it.
Right there, I put the blanket. That's my thumb over top of it
Yeah, it
right
looked good
there.
today. It looked good today, though. So I'm using my laptop
Yeah.
camera today. Yeah. So I was meeting with my church, or not my church, my dad's church, and so my dad and my mom have been going to this church out in Gilbert, almost since the very beginning, back into the early to late mid 2000s, or mid to late 2000s. That's what I mean. And so they called me up. They said, "Hey, like we we want to do some things to find folks who are interested in what we're doing here. How do we do that?" And so whenever I get to talking about ministry and teaching and showing Jesus and introducing Jesus to people, I just get really, really excited. I get a little bit emotional because I love doing what I do to help connect people with the story of Jesus. Because, I mean, man, you know, if y'all have any questions, that's fine. I'm just going to share with you what's true for me. Like the story of Jesus is more compelling than any other story that's ever existed. It's just a great story. And I love knowing that with Jesus, this is the worst that it will ever be. Here in this world right now is the worst it will ever get. And I believe that the opposite is true. That if you don't know Jesus, that this is the best it's ever going to get. And so the idea that, man, let's introduce people to Jesus and let them know, hey, the best is yet to come. That gets me excited. So I was at the church and he was just like, what can we do to help connect people with the story of Jesus? And so I got going and I got going and I looked down. I was like, Pastor Eric, I got to go. I said, I got to talk to people about mules. He says, what? I said, yeah, I got to talk to people about mules. God created the mules too. They need help and the people need the help with the mules. So I hustled as fast as I could. I got in my car. I called my sister up and I said, hey, can I come hang out in your backyard and do a mule broadcast? She said, a mule broadcast? I said, yeah, a mule broadcast every week, usually on Wednesdays, but now it's on Tuesdays. 3 p.m. Arizona time. She says, okay. So that's why I'm out here enjoying the outdoors at my sister's house, talking mules after I got to talking about Jesus. Anyways, that's all with that. Anything else you want to say, Steve?
Nope, that's pretty much it. I was kind of hoping to show a little bit right there. You can see
Oh, how
the
cool.
pictures of me roping calves off of my
Those are
little mule
new.
Rocky down at the Andrada Ranch.
Those are new.
Yep, Cindy done them.
Oh, that's great. Cindy's awesome.
Yeah, isn't she?
Yeah, she
But
is.
folks want to know if my saddles work. Well, there you are. My golly, that's just one deal. But hey, it's getting to be this time of the year. When people are out in the cold. And coming in from their feeding, and they're looking to warm up. Guess what? That right there, folks. That right there is some yummy, yummy coffee. I got ask, tell, demand coffee. And you want that demand. That is some strong coffee. It'll make you jump up and smack your grandmammy. Yes, sirree. As my uncle used to say. Yeah, my uncle used to say it all the time. So ask, tell, demand coffee. There we go. And Dave, throw that little deal out there for American Mule and Donkey Association, Bluegrass. So anyway, happy trails. We'll see everybody next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Uh, next Tuesday. And Dave, I'm going to be up in Flagstaff hunting deer next Tuesday. So I'm going to be, I got a couple different places I know I can be. And so we'll get up on a mountain. And the next Tuesday, you all will see me back up in Flagstaff, someplace deer hunting. But we're going to have this training time.
Steve's going to be up on the mountains proclaiming free. I think that's so funny. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you hanging out. God bless. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Anything and everything we can do to help you, we want to help you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.